Welcome back to the channel. This is Not Without My TV. I am Chris, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. I've got a video to react to, but it's just going to be one, and it's going to be then afterwards we're just going to talk a little bit about this topic. It's a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, the great state of California. So currently there's an executive order that states homeless encampments must be cleaned up. And it's basically tying the hands of the local governments, forcing them into a situation where they have to either say goodbye to state money, or get rid of their homeless encampments, regardless if they have somewhere to put them. And it started right away. It started, and here's just a little peek at how it's going.
They didn't give them any warning, and they just come and start taking their shit, and they wouldn't let them pack their tents up. So
wow, President Xi's getting there that quick?
No kidding, right?
Hey,
He's literally sitting on his stuff. They're ripping his stuff up.
Please relax. Okay.
So that's a really well-trained San Francisco Police Department officer. He understands there's no better way to de-escalate a tense situation with an agitated person than to keep screaming "relax" at them.
That's how I relax. I have a cop scream "relax" at me over and over.
Yeah.
When he throws my shit out.
Oh.
Like, throws all my. It's like a prison cell tossing.
Yeah, that's what this is like.
They come in anytime they want and just mess up your stuff. And the thing that's funny is, you could have maybe done anything to help the situation in the last 20 years.
You're right.
Back when Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. I first heard of him years ago because he handled San Francisco's homeless problem so poorly. He pushed everybody into
$26 billion with a B has been spent since 2016, and 20 billion has been spent since 2020. 20 billion of that in the last 4 years, 5 years, something like that.
And a police officer is heard telling a homeless person that Mayor Governor Newsom says homeless encampments are no more.
What is that even supposed to mean?
That's what he's saying to him. There are no more. It's not about my life, it's about our lives together. Encampments were not notified of the sweep ahead of time, as previously had been the norm. So they just showed up and started taking everybody, they keep taking their shit. Like that, could there be a worse way to do this? Could there be a worse way to do that?
I gotta say, there probably is a worst way, but this right here has got to be among the worst ways to do it. This is awful. They're ripping his stuff from him. He's literally right there. They can say, "Hey, dude, you got a few minutes. Get your shit," at the very least. But no. So that's how it's going in San Francisco right now. Let's take a look at LA. LA, Los Angeles Times. Okay, well, let's see. Sacramento. California has failed to adequately monitor the outcomes of its vast spending on the homeless programs. 20 billion. 20 billion. According to the state, an audit released Tuesday raising questions about whether billions of dollars meant to thwart the crisis has been worth it, as the number of people living in the unsheltered has soared. It's gone up. Every year it goes up. Every day it goes up. Where is that money? A news report from California State Auditor's Office found that the state council created to oversee the implementation of the homeless program has not consistently tracked spending or the outcomes of these programs. So they created a whole nother bureaucracy just to keep an eye on this money. And they didn't keep an eye on the money. That's what the Los Angeles Times has to say about this. Just now, this is barely unfolding. It's only been maybe 3 weeks. And whenever I do a search, I'm trying to find the actual bill itself so I can read it. All I get is garbage. Garbage. Even the state website You click to it, you think, okay, well, I'll read this garbage that they have printed, and in there should be a link to the bill. So far, I can't find it. I'm not saying that it's hidden. All I'm saying is it's not on the first few pages of a web search, which it should be the very first page. So CNN says that the Democratic governor's order came on the heels of the U.S. Supreme Court decision last month that ruled in favor of an Oregon city that ticketed homeless people for sleeping outside. The order calls for state officials to adopt humane and dignified policies to urgently address encampment. So let's just go ahead and shift the blame to the Supreme Court. Nothing to see here, folks. This executive order directs state agencies to move urgently to address dangerous encampments while supporting and assisting the individuals living in them. Supporting and assisting the individuals living in them, right? But then you got this cop over here ripping stuff out of their hands with no notice, saying, you're done. You're done. This is no more. This thing right here, this is what you get, right? So this is what they're saying. This is what they're saying that they're doing, right? Urgently to address dangerous encampments while supporting and assisting the individuals living in them. And this is their support right here.
None of them want to do their job.
A statement from the mayor's office said the city's street response will consist of offers of services and support on a daily basis, targeted encampment resolutions, and coordinated efforts to prevent re-encampments and new areas from being encamped. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem to be working out that way, but in a memo shared Tuesday by the mayor's office, officials said they seek to prevent encampments from cropping up again once they have been cleared. District police station officers will conduct regular canvasses of the areas to identify any encampments and then work with. So there's 171,000 at least homeless people in California. Do they have housing for those people? And where are they putting money into drug treatment centers and mental health facilities?
No, we don't have housing for those people. 174,000 people. If that's correct, that's insane. This is the 5th largest economy in the world. This is a state that's run from the top down by the party of compassion. I mean, every government program, every government institution in California is run by the Democratic Party. We've got the state officials, local officials, as in politicians, city officials, the media. The media is almost all liberal. We've got the law enforcement. It's all liberal.
Facilities, because that would be very helpful. Also, if we had universal health care in California, that would help save a lot of people from actually becoming homeless, because people get sick, they go bankrupt with their medical bills, and then they become homeless. That's a big problem. So, of course, with this whole state.
And again, I say the same thing. Pre-pandemic, I wouldn't have agreed with him on the whole. Like, we could help everybody. We should have a state-run universal income, a state-run universal health care. I used to think, what? That's ridiculous. Well, there's not enough money for everybody to have everything all the time. You know, you have to work for what you need. But there is actually plenty of money. After finding this out, after realizing there is tons of money that could get spent. It's just not. So this whole executive order to clean up the homeless is coming right after both presidential candidates, the VPs, or actually Republican VP and a Democratic ticket They both came down here one weekend after the other, and they both raised tens of millions of dollars from funding from the private sector. Right? So the money's here. There's money here. It's just not getting spent on what they claim to be spending it on.
State is run by Democrats, right? So if you think voting for Democrat is going to turn your state into a utopia where everybody has a job and health care and the homeless state, that's not true. They are just as bought and paid for by the oligarchy as Republican governments.
It's the same
are.
party.
Just so you know.
I just vote on which actors are cooler.
What is it? What's that?
I vote on which actors are cooler.
Yeah, me too. So also, I just want to let you know that of the top 10 California billionaires, 9 of them live in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
So glad to know they're clearing out the real crap.
San Francisco Bay Area, which is currently known for how many homeless people there and how high the crime rate is, also has 9 billionaires that live within the city limits. I mean, if that's true, according to Jimmy Dore here, he also lives in California. He's usually pretty accurate with what he says. He's got a team of people that research this stuff because he gets sued a lot, as far from what I understand.
Criminals. The
And
memo.
they do all kinds of charity, right? To like, hey, we got to put vaccines in people and do all this other stuff. Never want to help with that because, well, those people could just die. Screw them.
So
you know?
here's the memo from the mayor's office that also outlines the consequences for individuals if they continue to camp on the city streets and refuse shelter. They're going to give them citations and possible arrest
So
so-
shelter.
for shelter.
So they're going to give them shelter if they don't do.
So they're going to give them shelter if they. So, but by the way, that's the most expensive form of shelter you can get, because to
Yeah.
lock up a person in prison in California, it used to be, I used to quote $70,000 per inmate. I think it's now up to 100,000. Can you check me on that? I think it's $100,000 a year. So
It's a
instead,
six-figure income.
so instead of locking someone up for being homeless and camping, which would cost $100,000 a year, why wouldn't you just go give them a $2,000 a month voucher to go find an apartment?
Cal
I know.
Matters said
I've got a pretty good idea of why the state would do that. Currently, we are going through a process where the prisons are not as full as they usually have been. So the prison system is losing money. They need people. They need prisoners. And to me, it seems like the state says, hey, you know what? I think we know a group of people that could help you with that.
says that it's $132,000 per inmate in
Now,
California.
okay, so now it's Kurt, it's $132,000 per inmate in California a year.
Oh, well, okay. But how can I skim the money off the top and just give them like scraps and garbage? And
Yeah.
So if we do the way you're saying.
So
I
that's-
don't want to fix it. I make money off that.
I'm pretty sure that's the prison industrial complex at work there, and the slave labor and all that stuff.
We don't want to disrupt that.
And the government pays for their housing.
White guys for Kamala. We don't want to disrupt the prison
And of
labor.
course the government paying for it makes it cost way more than it should. It should cost somewhere around $30,000 a year. So but if the government does it, it costs $130,000 a year. So
and then what do they?
So that's pretty much all I have on that topic without getting into a bunch of repetitive thoughts. Basically, I wanted to just bring that to the conversation. Just it doesn't seem like the news, the national news, is paying too much attention to it, aside from the fact that they're just saying Governor Newsom is finally cleaning up California. He's finally cleaning it up. No, he's sweeping everything under the rug. They had $20 billion that just disappeared in 5 years, and now they need to show results. That's what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there. I know this is something different than what I'm used to producing. It's probably going to be a little rough, but you know, if you like content like this, like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments below what you might want to hear about next, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, everybody.